Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up. This is game 2 of March Smashness 2020, the Gauntlet, featuring number 16 Shapeshifting Vigilantes versus number 17 Miskatonic Wizards. This is an interesting battle because some of the playtesting committee had two campaigns. One campaign to knock Vigilante Shapeshifters down in seed, and another campaign to promote Miskatonic Wizards up in a couple of seeds, and this is where they landed, right next to each other. Now, as far as the polling went, 53% of people thought that Shapeshifting Vigilantes would win, whereas 47% thought that Miskatonic Wizards would win. So pretty close. And as of 3 results, Miskatonic Wizards won in the best of 3 format, winning game 3 by a score of 15-11. Now, I had Miskatonic Wizards winning, but I was playing Shapeshifting Vigilantes in game 3, and anytime I play, I don't care about my bracket. I want to win. Because I really don't like to lose. I'm very, very competitive, in case you haven't figured that out yet. But you have to put them in the best position to succeed, and Shapeshifting Vigilantes can be kind of difficult to play, believe it or not. When we were doing the exhibition season, one of the reasons why people wanted to knock them down so much is because the power output simply isn't there. They had a number of exhibition games where they weren't doing very well, and I made the comment that usually it revolves using some of their trick plays, and they have a couple. I managed to win one game by using the Revenge. Combined with Doppelganger, I was losing a 5-4-3 base and got 4 points, but between the Revenge and Doppelganger, I was able to get enough minion presence on another base to score that solo for 4 points and win the game because the game doesn't end until the end of the turn. So I created a 2-base combo with that, which can be really powerful, but there's only so many times that you can get away with that. And that's generally how Shapeshifting Vigilantes win. They win by being creative. They also have Let's Finish This, which can get a base by themselves. Although the Miskatonic Wizards have a counter for it in those Meddling Kids, which actually happened in Game 3. I played it on the Greasy Spoon, and those Meddling Kids got rid of it because it destroys all actions on the base. The Greasy Spoon shuffles it back in, where I was able to grab it again and play it, which was fortunate. But without that, the game wouldn't have been pretty close because Miskatonic Wizards is just simply too fast. Yes, Shapeshifting Vigilantes can win. They can slow Miskatonic Wizards down. But one of the things that you have to think about is how much card draw that the Miskatonic Wizards have. That means that they can get access to their specials, and they have 2 really powerful ones. One of them can give up to 6 power as the base is scoring, which is very difficult to combat. The other one, Old Man Jenkins, can destroy the highest powered minion as the base scores. What's really interesting is that the Vigilantes have their own counters for that. They have Death Wisher. So if you kill my highest powered minion, I'm going to kill one of yours unpower capped on any base, even if you kill Death Wisher. So Death Wisher kind of baits but also counters Old Man Jenkins. And Jackie Bill, if you play a special, Jackie Bill's going to get a little bit of power. And he wouldn't get the power until after the special was played, so playing Old Man Jenkins doesn't push him into the range of the card that's being played unless he had several power boosts before then. And we saw a little bit of that in Game 2, where Miskatonic Wizards had both of their specials refreshed, but the power level was too high, and the combination of Jackie Bill and Death Wisher created a no-win situation where they were still going to win the final base. And that's what forced Game 3. But more often than not, I think Miskatonic Wizards would win this matchup, which is why I bet on them. They're just simply too fast, and because of that card draw that I mentioned, what you're shuffling them into is a very thin deck. You can take out Archmage, you can take out the Professor by shuffling them back into their deck. But it's usually a very thin deck, so it's not much of a stall tactic. You're maybe buying a turn or 2 at most. With all the cards that they have for drawing, between Portal, using Madness for drawing, using the Arcane Protector, which Shapeshifting Vigilantes really don't have a counter for. In fact, if you were to play the Arcane Protector on the base with Let's Finish This, that would pretty much be guaranteed points as long as you had at least 2 cards in your hand, which is really hard to not do with Miskatonic Wizards. It's crazy that you could play Arcane Protector, which requires 5 cards, and then end your turn with 10 cards. But it happens. That's just how much card draw they have. The Vigilantes want to spread out a little bit, like I mentioned with that Doppelganger play, that you'd want to use the Revenge and Doppelganger to try and force a second base. But spreading out with their already low power output just makes it that much better for Wizards Miskatonic, who also want to spread out, but they have a global +2 power boost. Interestingly, to my knowledge, the global +2 power boost never triggered a 2-base combo, to my knowledge, but it usually forced the base to break out of nowhere, usually by combining with summons or Gate to the Beyond to get those extra minion plays. So they didn't necessarily play up to their maximum ceiling, but still won, and won by a significant margin in the 2 games where they did. Game 3 was a little different because of the fact that it was a no-win situation. I could have won the last base, but I would have lost because there was too large of a gap. I think the score would have been 14-13. It wasn't clear that he could break that base the next turn, which is why I opted for a miracle and played on Ninja Dojo instead. But that miracle never came, and that's why the score is 15-11. Again, score doesn't really tell the whole story. That was a pretty brutal game. If you read my notes on the Facebook page, you'll see that I had a mulligan, and the mulligan revealed no minions, and it would be forever before I actually drew a minion. When you have someone as fast as Miskatonic Wizards, you cannot wait, you have to get going, and you have to keep up pace with them. And when you're not actually playing any cards, that's very difficult to do. The first minion I ended up getting was Dusty Henry, who can shuffle in a minion. He's usually a finisher for Let's Finish This, so I have to play one of my best cards just so that I can try and get points, because I don't want to be down a solo score before I even play a card. That's going to be a very uphill battle. And then when Ryla comes out, I have no minions. He's got a ton of no equity minions, because usually those minions aren't engine ones. You just play them, you've already gotten their benefit, and they're low power, so they're great for just getting rid of them for extra VP. Then I have to kill my own very few minions just in order to keep pace with the VP, and it's just simply a no-win situation. I do think that the better team won, and I'm happy about that. It's good that it went to Game 3 because it helps do Shapeshifting Vigilantes a little bit of justice. But that's one of the reasons why we're doing the best of 3, because the Game 1 and 2 tell a very different story. Because of the bases that came out, Wizards Miskatonic University won by a landslide. In Game 2, Shapeshifting Vigilantes were able to claw their way back. They started slow, but they just kept going at it, and then eventually won 17-16. If the games were reversed in order, if Game 2 had occurred first, last year they would have advanced 17-16. But there's a lot more confidence that comes with Game 3, and that's why I'm happy to see that Miskatonic Wizards won out in the end. I think that's going to be a very tough matchup for Itty Critter Grims, because it's fast versus fast, and it's no specials versus specials. But as I mentioned yesterday, I have Itty Critter Grim winning the entire thing, and I did have them winning this matchup, but given how round 2, given how games 1 and 3 turned out, I think it's going to be a lot closer, and I don't know what's going to happen yet. So I'm excited to find out what that is. That's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to look at Mythic Horse Sheep versus Robot Vampires. But for now, let's shut it down.